Before we start, I would like to ask your help to do two things. First, tell a friend or two who you think might like the show. And second, please rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. The more reviews the show gets, the more likely it will even appear in search results. Thank you, and now on to the show.
They make the trek out to Burning Man for a week and a day. After a lot of work, oh, there's a lot of play. Party, 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 drama, 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 bitch, bitch, bitch. Year after year, they come back to scratch that itch. They all say their lives have been changed. After many years, lives have been rearranged. That change is what this show is all about. You'll see the impact of Burning Man up and out. So sit back, relax, and cancel all your plans. These are the stories about the shadow of the man.
Hello, and welcome to the Shadow of the Man Show. I'm your host, Andy. Forget about it, that Andy. Today, our guest is Debi Crackerjack Mansour. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah, that's how I pronounce it.
Sure. So you go by Crackerjack?
I go by Crackerjack, or people that know me well have shortened Crackerjack to CJ.
Ah, okay.
So some of my close friends also call me CJ.
Yeah. So months ago, I heard you were on Accuracy Third podcast. I guess they had someone who went around to was one of the New York like regional events, and they were like interviewing like various people. And this part, because my show is all about like how Burning Man has like influenced people like over the years, and clearly early on, like like when in 1990 when they first went to the desert, you would probably have to say 100% of the people were from San Francisco.
Right, right.
Right. So
Yeah.
like the entirety of Burning Man was about people from San Francisco going to the Black Rock Desert, and then slowly, like over time, like people started coming from like here and there, and then somewhere around the end of the 90s, the regionals kind of started up. People started going back home and like bringing back there, and then now like the more last 10, 20 years of Burning Man has been more like the growth of the regionals. And so there's been so many people that have experienced Burning Man that have never been to the Black Rock Desert. So
Yeah.
yeah, and so that's I've been wanting to interview more people like that, and so you're probably the first in my series. Hopefully I want to interview a lot more, because like one of the questions I have is that, like, say you've been going to like a regional event for 12 years, and then you go to Burning Man, like the playa at the Black Rock Desert for 3 years. That makes you a 15-year burner, right?
That's what I think. That's what I think. Although I've definitely had people tell me that if you've never been to Black Rock City, you cannot call yourself a burner.
Really?
And I highly disagree with that, because I think being a burner is about embracing the culture and the ethos, and, understanding and trying to embody the 10 principles, and,
Mhm.
joining that community. So I definitely disagree with the idea that you can't be a burner if you've never been to Burning Man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that's silly.
So where does your journey begin with the whole Burning Man world?
Well, your introduction was about people who have never been to Burning Man, but my very first burn ever was Burning Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
All right.
that's how I found it.
Okay.
So, my very first burn was Cargo Cult in 2013.
Ah,
I was 44 years old, and I had lived in Sacramento for 14 years. I left Sacramento in 2004. And that whole time, I didn't know anything about Burning Man.
oh,
Didn't
really?
have no clue. And then in 2013, a friend of mine from Sacramento my buddy Jay was like, "Hey, I've got this extra ticket. Do you want to come to Burning Man?" And at the time, I was living in New York, in Rochester, New York, and I said, "Yeah, why not?" And I flew out to Sacramento, and Jay and I drove into Burning Man, and uh, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Didn't know anything. Didn't know what it was. Didn't understand the principles. Had no clue. And so I, arrived on Playa. I was greeted. I jumped out of his truck. I whipped off my shirt. I, got down into the Playa. I did
Wow.
a dust angel,
Uh-huh.
right? I rang the bell and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is crazy. I've never done anything like this in my life. And I had a great time. We camped, I want to say we were on I and 745, so we were kind of in the outskirts a little bit.
Which is like open camping.
No, we camped actually with a guy who worked in the accounting office at Burning Man.
Oh.
Yeah, he has since passed away. I want to say his name was DJ, maybe. Um, But my buddy Jay, it was him and his brother and his sister-in-law and a couple other people and this guy DJ. And the camp was decorated with penguins. I don't know. It was like a theme camp, except we didn't do any activities really that I recall. There was no organized, events or anything. So Jay and I just kind of spent the whole time wandering around. It wasn't his first time at Burning Man, so he was sort of my Sherpa. And, he took me around and we did a lot of bike riding. I remember that. And I got naked. I realized that I liked being naked. I ran around Burning Man wearing nothing but flip-flops
Wow.
um, for many days. And, people talk about, oh, playa foot and oh, the dust and this and that. And it didn't bother me. So I just ran around in flip-flops. And you know what I do recall distinctly is I loved picking up moop. I don't know why that leave no trace principle just really struck a chord with me. And I remember, walking around naked in flip-flops, picking up people's, batteries that had fallen out of their L-wire lights off of
Mhm.
their bikes over the night and whatnot. And one day I packed a bag up of moop walking from where I was to center camp to get coffee. And I got to center camp for coffee, and the bag that I had been collecting all the moop in was full. And I thought, man, I really want to like keep picking up moop because this is such a good thing, right? And I kind of was looking around, where can I empty this bag, right? Like there's no garbage cans, right? Where do I
Yeah.
where do I put this bag of moop, empty it out so that I can collect more moop off of the streets? And I wandered into this camp that upon reflection must have been like some organizers or something because it seemed to me like it was kind of behind some walls.
Oh.
Okay. So I don't know where I wandered into. Somebody pointed me and went, go check in there. And I wandered in and I walked in and somebody was like, can we help you? Like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I was just looking for a place that I could empty this garbage. And they were like, excuse you?
Yeah, where's the
Like,
trash bin?
who are you? Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? And they're like, no, you take your garbage back to your camp. And, they kind of scolded me a little bit. And I was like, no, 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 wait, this isn't my garbage. This is like all the moop I've been picking up walking here from my camp. And they were like, oh, okay. They
Yeah,
let
you
me
can still go
empty,
take it back home.
they
Yeah.
let me empty my little moop bag into their camp garbage. And they were very nice, and then they sent me on my way. And yeah, that I remember that distinctly because I was looking for a garbage can, and they were kind of like, "Who are you? And where did you come from?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what do you think this is?"
Was
You
one of their
know?
first questions. It's like, it's your first time here.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Might as well have been walking around with a giant sign that said Virgin Burner.
Well, it's funny because I was doing this project on the playa this year called the Shadow Shorts, where I was basically I set myself up between like the man and the temple, and I was like interviewing people, like it was like little 5 minute interviews, and but the same theme as my show. It's like, what's the Burning Man's impact on you? And
Yeah.
in order for there to be some excuse me, there be some sort of impact, it's like there has some sort of time has to pass, right? Like you can't just be like,
Yeah.
oh, I just came through the gate and here I am. It's like, well, how is it being impacted? It's like, I don't know, I've been here for like a half an hour, like
Right, right,
so.
right.
I had to kind of like, me and my brother were like looking around and all these people going by, and we had to be like, I don't know, that one, no, that one, I don't know. Like, and then we just, at first we were just like, any person that came by, we would just kind of like, hey, you want to do this interview? And we quickly started this like sort of profile that we kind of learned. It's like, there are a couple of factors you could tell, like who's like just looking, like if
Uh-huh.
someone's like a first year burner or not. It was like the first one was like, they're too clean.
Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's like anyone who's like dirty, dusty, or like looks like they're wearing old clothes or whatever. It's just like, they've been around. It's like definitely
yeah.
someone who's like, it's like looks like they just sort of like put on a fresh set of clothes, and it's like everything's clean. Where it's like,
No,
yeah.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
also there was like a certain kind of like uniform like people had, like if it was like, oh, are you the sparkle pony, or are you like the rave kid? Do you have like the sparkly captain's hat or the fur jacket?
Oh yeah.
like
Oh yeah. I've
like
never done the captain's hat. I've never done it,
yeah.
but if you try to Google, Burning Man outfits,
uh,
that's the first thing that comes up is the sparkly
yeah,
captain's hat.
yeah.
It's the iconic Burning Man uniform.
Well, have you
That and the
seen
tutu.
what's his name, Mark Day, like on social media? Like he does these like AI like videos and like pictures of things. And
Oh, yep, yep.
yeah, I remember, was it last year, a couple years ago, he did something. It was like it was kind of like action figures, and so there were these like, it was like box sets, and so each one was like the different like archetype.
Right. The different Burning Man archetypes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like the
Yeah, I
sparkle
love it.
pony and like the raver and
Right. The DJ chaser. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The
So
crusty old burner who's burnier than thou.
yeah,
Russian. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely, you know, generational change in Burning Man. I mean, something that I noticed is like looking at the census, like if you kind of go back and look at like each different particular year, like I mean, clearly like the earlier you go, like the population was kind of doubling every year. So it's like by just statistically, half the people are have to be going for the first time, right? If it's
Right.
doubling, like at
Exactly.
least
Yeah.
it could be
Yeah.
75%. Who knows? Like not everyone keeps going back every year. And then the other thing was that it seems like quite a lot of people are like the biggest bulge is kind of like the 20s and 30s, like
Mhm.
perpetually like over these. I mean, maybe now and Brady Man's like almost 40 or something. I think that it's like it's starting to like tend a little bit like older, but
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting to think about that half the people would have been new because nowadays, the regional network, they kind of have this benchmark that 30% virgins is probably a good place to be,
hmm.
right? 30% or less virgins is a good place to be. Um, and, I don't know who came up with that, but that is sort of
Well,
the
what's
benchmark.
the reasoning behind that?
I think it has to do with acclimation to the culture and if you don't have enough experienced burners, then it's hard to maintain that culture, right? Because
Hmm.
there's not enough people that know what they want Burning Man to be like,
Yeah.
and then get all the, not that new ideas are bad, but when you get too many people who don't know what the norms are, then, your culture kind of gets
Sure.
very watered down. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and back in those early days, the culture was still, developing probably every year, right? Like it was still in so much flux, I
Yeah.
would say,
So you didn't really,
pre-principles and all of that.
yeah. So you didn't really know much about Burning Man. Your friend had a ticket and was like, "Yo, just come on out." I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
adventurous. I mean, like you really had heard nothing about it, or you just kind of
I mean, I had a
vaguely.
vague, very vague idea. I'd never been to any kind of a music festival or anything like that. I grew up very conservative, very sheltered. And yeah, it was a big adventure for me. I was not exceedingly well traveled. Not that I'm well traveled now, but I would like to think I'm a little bit more worldly. Um, yeah, so yeah, he just invited me. I remember that I definitely was a bit of a spectator. I embraced the picking up move. I didn't drink very much, and I didn't do any kind of drugs. So I was pretty straight-laced. And uh, you know, I just did a lot of spectating because I wasn't really comfortable just kind of jumping in and participating in all the things that were
Well,
happening.
it
So
is
I kind of stood back and I watched other people having a lot of fun.
that's a good way to go about it. I mean, since your
Yeah.
first year and you're kind of going into it not knowing. I mean, although I do have to say, like, oh, you didn't jump into it, but you did get naked,
But
which is
yes, I
something
did
which
get naked.
I
People
was like,
thought
that's
that
pretty
people
bold.
were surprised that it was my first burn.
Yeah.
Um, Somebody said to me when I was walking through center camp naked, they said, "I like your outfit." And I said, "Oh, this old thing, I've had it forever."
Well, no, because I remember like early on it did Burning Man, like before there was like, there's no like Wi-Fi or there's no cell
Yeah,
signal or anything. Like most people would be naked and it would always be some sort of form of like body paint,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
but then as like years went by and there was more connectivity, I would notice that there would be like less and less like public nudity. And so this because like everyone has a phone and every phone is a camera. And I think
yeah,
there's that a lot of people were like, oh, I don't want to be caught up. I don't want the whole world to see me. I mean, it's like
exactly,
you're going to this
exactly.
place where it's like, oh, I want to have like radically express myself. And it's like, I want to follow me back
Right.
home.
Yeah, you don't want that coming back out into the default world with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I definitely caught the bug in
Ah,
2013. I came
wow.
back to Rochester and I basically like ditched all my old friends, found the burner community in Rochester. And it was funny because I came back and I started looking. I'm like, there have to be people here that know about this, right? And so I got online back when, this was back before all the other social media. So Facebook was the king. And
Hmm.
I started looking around, and the first person I found was another virgin burner from 2013 who also went out to Burning Man with a camp that was based out of LA. And she was trying to find the local burners. And so her and I found each other.
Oh, wow.
And then in, I think, February of 2014, the regional contact in my area hosted a meet and greet, and that's how I found the local burners. I found the little meet and greet online. Pat, the other virgin, her and I, went to this together, and we met, kind of the core local Rochester burner scene, and they started talking to me about regionals. They
Hmm.
were all getting ready to go to Playa del Fuego, spring Playa del Fuego.
Where's Playa del Fuego? Is that?
Playa del Fuego at the time was in Delaware.
Yeah.
Now it's in Pennsylvania. They've moved locations. But at the time, it was at this Veterans Motorcycle Club
Yeah.
in Delaware. And they were like, yeah, we're going. They had a theme camp. We're all going. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. At first I was like, how can it be as good as Burning Man if it's this like tiny little regional thing, right?
Hmm.
And they were like, oh no, no, it's great, it's great. I'm like, okay. Um, sounds good. I think I want to go. They convinced me to go. I'm like, okay, I want to go. Can I camp with you? No, can't camp with us. We're full.
Well,
They were full. They were full. They had their placement. They only had X amount of square footage. You know, this space is very premium at a lot of regional burns because they're in these much smaller places, right?
hmm.
And so their theme camp only had, this much space and they were full. They didn't have space for me, um, is what they told me. You know, I kind of took it real personal and I was like, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm going to make my own theme camp,
There you go.
right? So, so I made my own theme camp called Crackerjack's Booty Camp. And I brought, a bunch of virgins with me, other people that didn't know anything about what they were getting into, and I like recruited them out of my life. A woman that I work with who's still one of my very closest friends, and she brought somebody, and she brought her husband, and there was a couple other people that I found, and we all went to this regional event, and we did Crackerjack's booty camp. We like to say we have a little something for every booty. And we just did, we like set up pop-ups and we put out a couple of massage tables and we offer booty services. So you come into the camp, you can get your butt rubbed, spanked, massaged, tickled. And then we did branding, what we call branding, which was actually just like ink stamps, right? So we would like
Hmm.
decorate your butt for you.
Yeah.
And we would tell people, you can leave your pants on, you can take your pants off, whatever you want to do. And people loved it. People loved it. And it was really funny because I don't even remember how the idea came up to create this camp, but it was genius because it's like, oh, hey, why doesn't everybody come over here and let me touch your butt? Right?
Well, I
And
think
I'll
it
just
helps
like,
that you're not like a
you know,
older man, you know.
I'll put up a sign, right?
Yeah,
And say butt touches, free butt touches. And people come and they're like, yeah, touch my butt.
yeah, yeah. But I mean,
It's
also
kind of genius.
yeah, but just looking at you, and I'm sure like I don't know who your friends are, but it's like if they were like middle aged or older like men who like come on in here and let me touch your booty, it's like might have gotten a slightly different response. People like,
Yeah.
"Yeah,
And well, and
no."
we had everybody of every gender
Hmm.
um working at the camp, and we would usually work in shifts. And so we would try to make sure that we had, good representation, right? Whenever we were working, in case there
Hmm.
was somebody that was just like, oh, I prefer, this person or I prefer
Sure.
that person.
Yeah, yeah. That,
Yeah.
was that
Yeah.
2014? You said?
That was 2014. Yeah. Spring Playa del Fuego, 2014, my very first regional Burning Man event. And
So,
then,
how many people were there? I mean, how big was it?
I want to say at the time it was probably around 1,000 people, maybe 1,200 people, something
That's a
like that.
nice size. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good size. Um, and then I just started going, spring and fall. They did both a spring and a fall event. And started going to that. And at the same time in 2014, the same people that I met at the meet and greet were starting a new regional burn called Portal Burn. So Portal Burn started, the first one was in 2013, but it wasn't called Portal Burn. It was called A Day in the Life.
Mm-hmm.
And then a group of the Rochester burners who went to that event kind of took it and turned it into Portal Burn. And so the first event called Portal Burn was in late summer 2014. And because I was local, they recruited me because I was excited, right? Like if you meet a new burner that really drinks the Kool-Aid, they're very excited, they want to help, they want to get
Yeah.
involved. And that was me. And
Well, that's the
so
thing with the crusty old burners. It's just like you kind of need to feed off of the energy of the young burners. It's like
yeah,
they
big
have all the
time,
energy. Bring it.
big time.
Yeah. So just something for my listeners who, might not be in the Northeast or in other countries. So we're talking about the
Yeah.
difference, like in New York State, like the upstate versus the city, right?
Mhm.
I mean, so
Yes.
like NYC, New York City has like a whole scene, but so upstate New York. So Portal Burn is probably more like an upstate New York kind of.
Yes. Portalburn is in Western New York.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's drawing people, it is drawing some people from New York City,
Yeah.
but it's, Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, New York. Some people from Pennsylvania might come up to it. So yeah, it's definitely in Western New York. I don't like to say upstate because the people in New York City consider, something that's like an hour north of them is upstate. Meanwhile, we're like a five
Yeah.
hour drive away,
It's the
6 hour drive
Catskills,
away.
right? Like,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah,
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 yeah. As soon as you go over one of the bridges, you're upstate, right? But yeah,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
much further west.
Yeah,
So
I grew up in Englewood, New Jersey. It's like just
okay.
over the George Washington Bridge, and so yeah, I mean, yeah, upstate was literally like 20 minutes away.
Right, right, right.
The
Yeah, exactly.
Catskills,
Yeah,
like yeah, Bear
yeah.
Mountain, whatever. You're like, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but we're out in Western New York, Portalburn is, and so that started in 2014, and I was involved every year. I was either the help guide lead, or I was the art grant lead or something for many years. Um, and then I was taking Crackerjack's booty camp also to Portal Burn. We started our famous event was the annual booty pageant. So we would do a booty pageant, and it was such a simple concept. I was the host or the MC of the pageant. The camp would actually have these like golden tickets, like Willy Wonka golden tickets, right?
Mhm.
Would hand out golden tickets to people that we thought might want to participate in the pageant. So we kind of made it exclusive,
Hmm.
right? Like you had to get a golden ticket from one of us if you were interested in the pageant. And then I would choose three people to be judges, and they're the ones that had to make the decision of who the winners were. And we would also allow bribing. So part of the pageant was that if you were a contestant in the pageant, you got your friends to bribe the judges while you were performing,
Is this like a
right?
public bribing? It's just like the bribing has to be
Oh
on.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
totally public
no
bribing.
private bribing.
No, 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 no. So like the judges are sitting up front, right? The music comes on, the performer is doing whatever, shaking their booty, trying to, show that they got the best booty. And their friends all come out, run up to the judges, and they're like rubbing the judges' feet, and they're handing the judges cocktails, and they're offering them chocolates, and they're giving them shoulder massages and, whatever it is
That's
to try
awesome.
to like influence them that they should vote for their candidate, right? And I loved it because picking the candidate that's going to win or the first, second, third prize was probably incredibly difficult. And so I never had to do that, which was amazing for me because I'm like, how would I decide, right? So I would make my friends the judges, and they would have to decide. And but they also got all the bribery stuff too. So
Were there like different categories of booty, or like it was just like for second, third place?
it was just first, second, and third. And but I used to tell people that, it doesn't have to, you don't have to win because your booty is maybe the most classically attractive booty, right? Like you might have the hairiest booty that anybody has ever seen, and your personality, carries the contest, and so that's how you win, right? It could be anything. So, and people would get very creative because they would know this pageant was coming, and they would have costumes. They would ask for certain songs because they wanted to, have a theme for their performance. They would have decorations. It was all kinds of crazy stuff. One time we had a couple, Quentin and Heidi. They're kind of famous burners out here in our region. And Quentin came out, joined the pageant as a last minute contestant, even though he didn't have a golden ticket. We let him in. He was dressed as an Amish man. Quentin was dressed as an Amish man. Heidi was dressed as his wife. Quentin gets up onto the stage and starts, you know, taking his suspender, just dipping it off of his shoulder, right? I mean, he's wearing a full shirt and the pants and the suspenders and the hat and everything. And
Wow.
he kind of is doing this like very shy little cutesy dance, playing to the crowd, dips his little suspender down like he's showing his shoulder. And people lost their minds. It was one of the best performances I have ever seen.
That is hilarious.
And yeah, meanwhile, Heidi's there dressed in her acting like she's,
Do you ever have any like people come up dressed as pirates and have like a little leather bag and be like, "Arr, look at me booty," you know?
I've never gotten that. That's a good shtick though. But we're not doing the pageant anymore. So Booty
Huh.
Camp has ceased to exist. I ran it for about, oh gosh, maybe 6 years at a bunch of different regionals. We would go to Spring and Fall PDF. We would do Portal Burn. I took it to Wicker Man a couple of times, which isn't a sanctioned regional, but
What's
is
Wicker Man?
Wicker Man also doesn't exist anymore. Wicker Man is now, um, what is Wicker Man called now? Summer Isle. It's called Summer Isle now. And it's like in no, it's in southern Pennsylvania. And it's never been a sanctioned regional event, but it's a good sized event. And it, uh, it was Wicker Man when it was at another location, and then they moved locations and they changed the name of it to Summer Isle. But it's a regional burn. I mean, for
Mhm.
all intents and purposes, it is a regional burn. It just doesn't have the Burning Man sanction on it,
Mhm.
which is not a horrible thing. It has all the elements of a regional burn, but the
Yeah.
organizers don't have to fill out the paperwork.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
it's something because I started the Hawaii Regional Group in 2002 and did it for like 10 years. And I remember like at a certain point there was kind of like a transition point because we were doing these just like these little beach burns and we would have like, anywhere between like 30 and 60 people and we would just like go to the beach. It was just kind of small and like, not many people knew about it and it was kind of underground. It's like, and it was just a bunch of friends essentially camping out. And then
Yeah.
once you kind of passed a certain threshold, then it was kind of like, well, then like you started attracting the attention of like law enforcement and the government and so this and that. So then it's like, and then like
Mhm.
people started having accidents, and then people started worrying about like liability, like an insurance. And so I think I remember at the time thinking like, if you can just kind of keep it small,
Mhm.
you can do it forever. But it's like, but I don't know. I think it's part of like the nature of Burning Man, like especially with like the playa and like with so many other regionals, like there's just this drive to go like just bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And like the bigger you get, it's like the more it's like you have to get official, you have to bureaucratize. It's
Yes.
like you have to dot all the i's and cross all the t's, and people are just like, well, it's lost that kind of homegrown feeling. What's just like, yeah, well, that was when we had just like 30 people camping. Like now it's like 1,000 people and we have to rent out this place. Like we got to sell tickets, and guess what, there's like 4,000 people that want to go and there's only 1,000 tickets. So you know
Yeah. 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 We're facing that. Portal burn is facing that problem of how do you grow and do it in a sustainable way. And the location that Portal Burn is at is kind of maxing out in terms
Hmm.
of, how many people you can really fit there. And it's not the camping, actually, it's the parking.
Oh,
Parking is what's the problem.
interesting.
Because you can't fit enough cars. Because we're in an area of the country where if it's rainy and the camping areas get a little muddy, you can't just have all these cars driving across these muddy fields.
Yeah.
It's going to turn into a huge disaster and people are going to get stuck and it's going to ruin the land. And so you have to put cars in, a parking lot. And if you don't have enough parking lot fields that are accessible that aren't going to turn into mud pits, um, then you kind of have to limit how many people you can let on site. Um, and there's pros and cons to growing, right? There's like you said, there's the more bureaucracy when you get bigger. You lose some of that homegrown, but you also can attract larger art and more exciting, performances and different things for the community. So, it's a trade-off. But you also need more people to do more work. You need more people on DPW to set the city up. You need maybe more money to, rent the land for a longer period,
Hmm.
stuff like that. So yeah,
So
yeah,
what's now your position? So you went to Burning Man 2013, 2014, started
yeah,
going to some regional events.
yeah.
So you're part of like the organization now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And this just for Portal?
So I am currently on the board of directors for Portal Burn.
Hmm.
Um, I'm the secretary to the board for the Portal Burn Board of Directors. I also started my own nonprofit in 2019 called Not Your Mom. And so I'm the president of the board for that. And I'm getting ready to get off of that board. I'm ready to sort of pass that on. It's my baby that I created, and it's time to turn it over to the community, which is a little frightening, but has to be done.
So what's Not Your Mom all about?
Yeah, Not Your Mom is a little nonprofit that I started. We run a vernal equinox event in Rochester, and we also run the Cosmic Burn, which is in Ithaca. So the vernal equinox event, the RC that was in our area started it in 2016. And then in the summer of 2016, she moved to Reno. And so there was nobody to run it in 2017. And I said, I'll do it. And so I kind of picked up that torch and I started running an annual vernal equinox event in Rochester, a one night, Burning Man party. And did that in 2017 and 2018. And it was very underground. And then I started getting concerned, right? Because it's like, oh, there's 150 people in a warehouse in Rochester, like basically raving all night. And I am in charge of it. And I have no legal protections. If something really bad happens, I don't
Mm.
want to lose my house. I don't want to lose my retirement. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, this is scary.
Yeah.
So I basically started a nonprofit to kind of protect myself, so that I would have an entity to run these things through. And then, so it was originally just to run Vernal Equinox. But then in 2020, some friends of mine started Cosmic in the middle of the pandemic. They started Cosmic. It wasn't a burn because it wasn't radically inclusive. It was an invitation only Burning Man outdoor camping event.
Hmm.
And the first one probably had like 75 people. And this was in early summer 2020. So if you remember anything about it, this was pre-vaccines. This was when we were taking everybody's temperature. Remember that everyone was crazy about getting their temperature taken, right?
Yeah.
And we were wearing masks, and testing was, I don't even think testing was as readily available then. Maybe
Surprised
it
people even
was.
like let you get together. Like you're gonna have a group of 70 people get together in an open field? I mean, my God, crazy.
Oh yeah. But we were ordained ministers, and so we were having a religious gathering.
Ah, there you go.
Which is what we told the local police to get them to leave us alone. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure they
Yeah.
like looked around and were just like,
Oh, it was,
what?
yeah, it was very risky. It was crazy. Um, but yeah, so it was they did it these three guys did it in 2020 for the first time, and I was on the invitation list. So it was invitation only. It was all seasoned burners, no virgins, right? It was just this kind of, we need our community. This pandemic is crazy. We're all isolating, but we need some community. And we got it together. They got it together. I went. And then they wanted to do another one like 6 weeks later. And I looked
Eek.
around and I was like, you guys need help. And so I joined the team. I'm a freak in the sheets, is what I am.
Uh-huh.
Love a good spreadsheet. I am very organized. I'm like the admin back end person that everybody wishes they could have.
Yeah.
Um, and so I helped organize the second one. And then in 2021, we created a theme camp out of it. And we took the theme camp, the Cosmic Lounge theme camp, we took to Portal Burn. That was our inauguration of the theme camp version. And then in 2021, we also had two events in 2021. And I think the first one was just another kind of uh, invitation, word of mouth kind of thing. And then the second event in 2021 was when we opened it up, and we were able to have open invitation and apply for regional status because now it's, radically inclusive.
Hmm.
And anyone could come. And we sold tickets, and then Cosmic's been going on ever since.
So was that like 22 or so or late 21?
It was the second event in 21. So in 2020, there was two events. In 21, there was two events. And the second event in 2021 is when we got regional status.
Mm.
So it's a pretty new burn. It tracks probably around 150 people. It's set up sort of like a large it's set up almost like it's just its own large theme camp. So
Hmm.
there's a center camp area, and we ask everybody to just do all your stuff essentially in center camp. So there's not really theme camps per se. Um, some people have started to kind of bring a little bit of a theme camp element, but the original ones were more like the vacation burn for the burners who normally take big theme camps to other events. So it was like, okay, you can come to this event. You don't have to bring all your camp infrastructure. We have a giant center tent for you. We have a stage for you. We have a sound system for you. We have a gift bar. And you can just come. If you have things you want to do them in our big tent. You don't have to bring your own big tent,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So yeah, that's how it started. But I think it is headed in the direction of becoming a full-fledged regional with theme camps and
I mean, do you
all
have
of
the
the
space for that or
all of the trappings. Yeah, there is pretty good space. The location that it's at now, I think we're bringing in about 150 people ish. But I could see it being as big as like maybe 400 people on that site.
you know how sites are just like, we're gonna go to 15,000 and we're gonna
Yeah,
have like, it's gonna be crazy.
yeah. Yeah, no. Well, we don't have the population. Um, we don't have the population of burners out here to
Hmm.
create an event that big. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's too far away from places like New York City and Philadelphia. And they have other things that they're going to. And a lot of burners, like a lot of New York City burners, would never even set foot at a regional. They don't consider it worth their time.
They just
So
do city events.
they do their Burning Man stuff in the city and then they go out to the big burn.
So New York City, is it mostly just kind of like decompression, pre-compression, like like big
Yeah.
huge parties, warehouse,
Yeah,
things like
there's
that?
yeah, there's like little meet and greets, weekly things, and there's no like actual sanctioned regional event based out of New York City
Yeah.
or close to New York City.
It reminds me of like Boston, because I think Boston has a lot of like meet and greets and things. And I'm not, maybe they do like a decompression, or whatever, but their big thing is Firefly, which is actually up in
Yeah.
Vermont.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and I because actually I went to school in Vermont, and my wife like grew up there, and so I go back there almost like every year. And I remember for many years just being like, my friend Amy Bunker, like she was the regional contact for Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine for the longest time, because there wasn't really anybody. And I remember like in
Yeah.
Vermont, there was just like there were like scatterings of burners here and there, but like no real Vermont burners or Vermont burn. And then it was like, well, here are these Boston people coming up to Vermont, and it's like,
Right, right.
hey, like what about Vermont? Come on, like, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we definitely get burners out of New York City, and it's actually kind of funny. The Portal Burn board um, is shifting more and more to people that are based in New York City because I think we've kind of cycled through all the local people that had enough time and energy to be in leadership
mhm.
and we've kind of exhausted our pool, which is
Burned
really
out.
interesting. It's like, how do we get some new, younger people coming in that actually want to step up into leadership that are from our local area?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah,
Well, it's
we're
got to
we're
be sustainable. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, and I'm burning out. I'm like, oh, I'm getting exhausted. I'm on two boards and helping to organize three different events. And I'm just like, okay, something's got to give.
Yeah.
So I'm finishing up my term on the Portal Burn board at the end of this year. And then I'm actively working on my exit strategy out of the Not Your Mom board and I'm going to turn over, those events to the next gen of leadership. And I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also,
Nervous.
it's also like it's the end of an era. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not going to walk away from any of these events, though. I
Oh
plan to stay
yeah.
very involved. I plan to do special projects for them because there's never enough time to get all the things done, right? There's always stuff that it's like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we could just get this handled better? And nobody ever has enough time to really devote to get, like a special project done. Like I want to work on this sounds silly. I want to do signage for Portal Burn. I want to be their sign lead. I want to get all the signage, squared away
Yeah.
and look good and usable for year after year, consistent, clean. So yeah.
Well, it's like identifying a need, and then there's just you come up with like, hey, I'm kind of famous for like coming up with ideas. And it's like, hey, how about this? And everyone's like, yeah, that's a great idea. How about you do it?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, surely
Yeah.
someone other than me can do these things too, But I'm
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
can get it
Oh,
going, and
listen.
then other people can take it over.
Listen, being a theme camp, running a theme camp and being on the board, I have learned because I've never wanted to be in, management, right? In my outside life, but I've learned that when people come up with really cool ideas, my response to them usually is something like, that's a fantastic idea. I want you to let me know how I can support you as you're implementing that.
How can I help you
How can I help
help
you
you do it
to
yourself?
make
Like,
that
yeah,
a reality?
yeah, exactly.
I'm not doing it for you.
Yeah.
I want
Well,
you to
that's
do
also
it.
another thing that a frequent kind of truism in all these things that, and something here in Hawaii, we're kind of having this problem of everybody wants to go to the party, but like
Mhm.
not very many people want to like throw the party.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I remember years ago when I was doing stuff, like I would be like, "Hey, anyone want to do a thing?" And they'd be like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What do you want to do?" And they're like, "I don't know." So I'm like, "Okay." I would just kind of just make up just I say out of the top of my head and out of the back of my ass.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
like this such and such a date, such and such a time? How about we just come out and just make up some crazy thing? And they're just like, "Okay."
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh yeah,
"All right."
it's herding cats all the time, and somebody's got to be the one that says, this is what we're doing, this is where we're meeting, this is what time we're meeting, here's what I need you to bring. Somebody's got to do all that organization, and the
Then there's
people who
always
are willing to do that are kind of few and far between.
Yeah, and then there's always like some Johnny come lately, where like you're actually at the meeting and it's like, well, I didn't want to do it today, or I don't want to talk about this. Like where were you when I asked people? It's like, what do you want to do? You were silent, and now as we're doing it,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Then it's like, okay, well, for next time, like I'll write down, well, you will be involved, and we'll do this in advance.
yeah.
See if
Yeah,
things go up.
it's interesting being in a leadership position. I've been accused of being a cult leader.
Uh-huh.
I've been accused of being in charge of the Mean Girls Club, that, I didn't like somebody, so everybody else didn't like that person.
Hmm.
I've been, and I'm like, what? I have nothing to do with it.
Prima
Leave me alone.
donna,
I'm like,
egotistical.
first of all, I'm not a cult leader. I don't think that people follow my every word. If they do, they're crazy because I don't know what I'm talking about. You know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. I realize that I do have, it's interesting to realize that you do have some sway or some influence on people. Um, Especially when it's not something that you really looked for, but you kind of realize that that has somehow happened,
Hmm.
and that you maybe have to pay attention to what your influence might be. Um, yeah, it's an interesting thing to find yourself in a quote unquote leadership position.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of that I've used to my advantage though. So I have made myself somewhat famous on purpose just by pretending that I'm famous, right? Like, right? If you tell people, basically pretend to people that you're a big deal, they will think that you're a big deal. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, the next thing you know, you're a big deal. Um, so this is what I did. I did something called the Mandatory Virgin Acclimation Tour.
Hmm.
I started an event that I would do at regional Burning Mans, and I even at events that I had never been to. So I did this at the first Wicker Man I ever went to. I put in, an event. I scheduled this event called the Mandatory Virgin Acclimation Tour. And basically, I would just say on the Facebooks and on the social medias, I'm like, all virgins have to attend this. This is mandatory. I would just like make up all this, right? As you and I know, nothing's mandatory,
Yeah.
right? There's no such thing. But if you're a first timer, you don't know that. You might think it really is mandatory. And I would get great attendance, and I would get all these virgins together. I would go through the 10 principles with them. But we would talk about the 10 principles, and I would say, name a principle. So, Andy, let's play the game. Name a principle, Andy.
Gifting.
Gifting. Yes, you're very close. The actual principle is mandatory gifting. Name another principle, Andy.
Radical inclusion.
No, it's that's close, but it's actually mandatory radical inclusion.
Mandatory. Oh,
So I would say all the principles were mandatory. And then I would also talk to them about porta potty etiquette. So I had a whole section on porta potties and like the engineering that goes into a porta potty and why it's important to keep the lid closed and what you should do if you don't want to sit down and all this stuff. And then I would take them around on a little tour and we would walk around to different theme camps. And I would organize this ahead of time with the theme camps. The theme camps knew that the virgins were coming on the tour, and we would get to a theme camp. They would maybe have, like a special shot that they were doing, or they had stickers for the virgins or something. And I would ask, one of the people in the theme camp to talk to the virgins for 2 minutes, give them some advice. And I would make up these ridiculous introductions to people, right? So I would walk into some theme camp and I would be like, this theme camp, was an original theme camp from Burning Man from 1996. And this person knew Larry Harvey personally. And, I would make up all these outrageous things about people that none of it was true. Right. But the virgins don't know that.
that's awesome.
And then the other thing I would do with my virgins is I would assign them playa names. So,
I
I'd be like, does
love
anybody
this.
already have a playa name? And most people didn't have a playa name. And so I'd whip out this big thing of sticker name tags, right? Where I had written all these like goofy playa names. And I would pretend to very carefully, select the playa name that would most work for the person standing in front of me if they said they wanted one. And I would peel off this sticker and I'd give them a playa name and, stick it on them, the my name is now sticker. And, I bet you I probably have at least 20 people out there that have a playa name that I had gave them through my Virgin mandatory training.
And I bet they're very proud of that too.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, their playa name stuck. You know what I mean? Like a lot of
Yeah.
them, they just never stick, right? We all know how playa names can
Like for
come and
you, it's kind
go.
of like the
It
fridge
just never
magnet thing,
sticks.
right? It's like I have like all of these different words. It's like I'll take this one and
Yeah.
this, like that's you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's your new play name. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, got a bunch of people out there running around with play name they got from Crackerjack during the mandatory Virgin Acclamation tour.
Wow, that's awesome. It's funny because
Yeah.
like what you're talking about, the whole like fake celebrity thing, just I don't know. Every once in a while, like when I'm doing these interviews, I kind of always think of just like these ideas for just crazy theme camps, and I'm just like the fake celebrity camp. Yeah. Like, or you just put that's the title, it just says celebrity camp. And people are like, what's that? It's like, this is where the celebrities are. And it's like,
Yeah.
really? And it's just like, yeah, yeah. But they're all in disguise.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, and you come on up to have like a mask, it's like, hi, I'm Channing Tatum.
Right. Right.
You'd be like, I'm Angelina Jolie. It's like,
Oh my
really?
gosh.
Like, oh yeah.
That sounds amazing. I love it. I love it.
All right.
Yeah, sounds good.
So let's see. We got to move on to the second question now. We'll briefly go into like so what's your background? Where'd you grow up? Where'd little Crackerjack grow up before Burning Man?
Yeah. I grew up in Toledo, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah. I moved out of my house when I was 17. I eloped and got married when I was 18. We moved to California when I was 20. I got divorced when I was 22. And like I said earlier, I lived in Sacramento from maybe about 1990 to about 2004 and didn't know anything about Burning Man. But a lot of that is because my family is very conservative,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
like Tea Party
I
conservative.
mean, it is possible to live in California and not know about Burning Man. I mean, that is
Yeah, yeah. And yeah. And I had I mean, I don't want to, bore people with my terrible childhood, but I had a pretty shitty childhood. And, not a lot of guidance, and was really just sort of flailing around as an adult trying to figure out, how to make it. Um, and, uh, and yeah, I was very much, in that sort of, oh, what would you say? Like trying to kind of keep up with the Joneses, decorating my house from the decor department at Target,
Hmm.
kind of thing, if that makes sense. And I had very conservative political beliefs, although I wasn't well researched. I just was, listening to and parroting
Going
things
with the
that I heard,
flow, kind of.
you
Yeah.
know, on conservative talk radio. And didn't really have a lot of didn't have any deep understanding of the stuff that I was spouting. And so it wasn't until after I went to Burning Man that it actually really changed my life and changed my views. And I've done like a complete 180. I've become a much, much more compassionate person. So yeah, my early years are not, they're very boring. They're very boring, very
By the,
boring.
the time your friend in 2013 called you up and was like, "Hey, I got this free ticket, fly across the country and come with me," like, were you just kind of like, at that point just like ready for some sort of adventure?
Yeah, I think so. And I had known him for a very long time and I trusted him. And so I think, and I've always, even though I was trying to, I say it was very boring, but I've always been a little bit quirky and never quite fit in. I've always been a bit of an odd duck. And so even though I didn't really find my people until I found Burning Man, um, I never quite fit in with the crowd that I was trying to fit in with prior
Hmm.
to that. So, so there was a lot of, I'm a very rootless person, not ruthless. Like I have no
Roots.
roots.
Yeah.
I don't have any roots. Um, so I'm very, just floating in the wind out there, and had was like, sure, let me try this.
So you were an
Um,
odd duck, and then you hit the pie. You found your pond.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. That is exactly it. Yeah. And it's not lost on me that the Burning Man community, at least in the regionals where I am, is chock full of neurospicy folks. That
Mm.
is not lost on me. And I kind of, and sometimes I look around and I go, look at all these neurospicy people. And then I go, oh, and guess what?
You're like
Ding
me.
dong, you fit right in.
Yeah.
So maybe, you know, hmm,
Hmm. Hmm.
what do you think?
It's the spicy pond.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the spicy
Yeah.
pond. Keeps it
Well, I guess
fun.
this is kind of naturally turning into our last question of the impact and influence of Burning Man on you. So I take it that wasn't just the first time you went to Burning Man. You've been, or to Black Rock City, I should say. You've been,
Yeah.
how many times have you been back?
I've been out there 4 times. So I went in 2013 for the first time, and then I didn't get back until 2017. And then I went again in 2019, and then I was there for Mudburn in 23. So that was fun.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, and every time I go out there, I end up, I've never camped with a large theme camp out there. I've always done like small, just little
I
couple
like
people
that.
camping
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because I I identify as a burner. I feel like if I'm not going to, if I'm not getting ready to go to a burn, I'm planning a burn, I'm thinking about a burn, I'm like, it's really consumed my life. and all my friends are burners. One thing that I'm actually looking forward to after I get off, when I finish my term with the Portal Burn Board, is having a little bit of time to maybe do some other kind of volunteering. So I might meet
Oh,
people who aren't burners because everyone I know is a burner. And I'm like, huh, I need to expand my friend groups here a little bit. But yeah, it changed my politics. It taught me the importance of volunteering. Burning Man taught me how to lead people, although that's been a bumpy road and absolutely am still learning. But it definitely taught me how to lead people. And it also allowed me to express some of my creativity that I didn't necessarily know I needed to get out. I'm not an artist in the sense of I don't create, tangible art. But I think of myself more like a performance artist, right? So like
expressing yourself.
my
Yeah.
yeah, my Virgin Acclamation tour, and I've been hosting a variety show with my buddy Shaq, and we tell dumb dad jokes in between. And I set up things like the no walking zone. My friends and I sit in the chairs and we put some cones out, right? And we put the signs up and say no walking zone on a path. And then people have to get from one side to the other side, but they can't walk. So they have to skip or jump or twirl or, so we can, it's just silly stuff, right? Um, so that's kind of how my expression of artistic endeavors reveals itself is in more of the performance and the silliness. And I like to always say about Burning Man when people are asking me what is it, how, can you explain it? It's impossible to explain, right?
Well, there's only
But
just your explanation, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
the one thing that I find myself repeating over and over is that Burning Man is a bunch of adults who have not forgotten how to play. And I think that's really important. I think the importance of playing and enjoying ourselves. And
Yeah.
it's not just about partying, because I think partying can be a little bit different. It's about actually playing and enjoying yourself and being silly and, you know, um, having those conversations where you come up with the crazy ideas for the next theme camp, like celebrity camp,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Or maybe it's like giving you the permission to play. Because I mean,
yeah.
there's clearly there's people I know that didn't weren't really allowed the space to play when they were a child. So then now that as an adult on their own, they're just like they go hog wild and crazy. Like, now I'm gonna play, and it's not usually very pleasant to see.
Oh,
Like you shouldn't be
yeah.
doing that, But maybe just like a space, where you can radically express yourself. Like you can, it's like you come for the party, but then. It kind of it's like oh that was the invitation, but then once the door is opened, it's like oh like I can play or and then also, like what you're saying, it's like you can develop these other senses of yourself. Like, because what I'm from hearing from you, like, oh, like your childhood was maybe a little difficult, or maybe
Mhm.
like from a political background that was a little maybe stifling, and so then
Yep.
you come to a more a place where you can kind of express yourself, and you're around a bunch of other people who are just like, yeah, it's okay, and they're
Yeah.
just like, huh, like let me explore leadership. I mean, let me learn about this. It's like, let me explore my creativity. And
Yeah.
it's like, there's no set path. It's like, this is where I'm going. It's just like, let me just start walking and see where I go.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. And it's allowed me to do some other creative things that weren't actually Burning Man. I mean, I say not Burning Man related, but I would never have done it if it weren't for Burning Man. So Rochester has a local fringe festival. And for several years, I performed in the fringe festival. I was Crackerjack, the complimentary heckler. And so I did complimentary heckling, and I like to say it's complimentary and it's free because I would stand there with a megaphone dressed in like, a funny costume, a cute outfit or whatever, and I would heckle people, but I would heckle them with compliments. So I would like yell compliments at people through a megaphone as they're walking by. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. So I would just tell people, I like their shoes. I like it would pick out a physical characteristic that I like, but I would also tell people things like, I like your smile. I like the pep in your step. You're having a good gym day, or you're having a good hair day, or have you been going to the gym because it shows, or, you know, your
That
eyes are
smile goes with that
amazing.
shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, I would just yell compliments at people through a megaphone.
Oh, that I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like a busker basically at this Fringe festival in Rochester. And I did that for a couple of years, and it was actually a lot of fun. And you know, the world is hard. Life is hard.
Especially
Sometimes we
now.
just
Yeah.
need to, we just need a little bit of levity.
Hmm.
We just need to not take ourselves too seriously.
Well, also, I think that just kind of cuts through a lot of the divisions we might be seeing in our like social and political world, especially in the United States. Like right
Oh
here,
yeah.
right now.
Yeah,
It's like what? How can people kind of cut through the chatter and vitriol to actually kind of connect us? Like, hey, I'm a human being. You're a human being. Let's be
right.
human beings together.
Right.
Yeah. So when you said like the complimentary heckler, I was imagining like like a comedian on stage being like, "That was a great joke."
Yeah. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun too. I always had a couple, every time I did it, I always had a couple of people because it would be featured, they would describe it in the guide. And I would always have a couple of people that would come to me thinking that it was heckling, like mean heckling, but that it was
Mm.
complimentary, meaning free. So it was like free, mean heckling. And they would stand in front of me. They would find me and stand in front of me and be like, all right, give me the best you got, and they would almost like brace themselves. And it was always men.
Uh-huh.
And then I would start telling them something nice about themselves, and they would just kind of
Like
be like,
blink their
so
eyes, be like,
confused,
"What?"
like,
Like
wait, what? What's happening? And I'm like, yeah, no, this is complimentary heckling. And it would take them a minute, and they would finally figure it out. And I'd be like, yeah,
oh.
and you're a fantastic person.
Well, that's not what I came here for. I
Yeah,
came
I
here to
came here
fuck
for you
you.
to be mean to me.
Like, what the hell?
Sorry,
I
not
want
gonna
my
happen.
money back.
Not
Well,
happening.
like you maybe you'll have to have a friend because pair up with you because like every superhero needs a supervillain,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So you got to
Yeah.
have a Nelly Naysayer. you know?
That could be a thing. That could
And
be a
just be
thing.
like, I
Yeah.
love your hair. It totally matches your hoodie. Just like, no, it doesn't. That's pink and that's purple. Like, it doesn't go together at all. Like,
Yeah.
damn you, Nelly Naysayer.
Yeah, that would be funny. Uh that's a good I'll keep that in mind.
But again, it's all having fun, right?
It is. It's all about having some fun and just enjoying life. The older I get, the more it's very evident how short our time here is. And
Also, it's like, why be so serious about things that are so inconsequential? Well, when you look back,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, there's definitely things that are worth being serious about, but
Yeah, yeah.
you know, we gotta have some joy. Gotta find some joy in our lives.
Hmm.
So yeah. Yeah, so yeah, Burning Man definitely taught me how to have some joy, how to not take myself so seriously, how to not care what other people actually think of me, you know. And yeah, it got me volunteering.
Hmm.
It got me thinking more about my impact on the community at large, whether that be my local burner community or whether that be, the city I live in. So yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because I do find that myself and a lot of people in the regional communities feel very disconnected from the Burning Man community,
How's that?
right? So many of the people that I burn with on a regular basis has never been out to Black Rock City.
Yeah.
And, they don't know all the famous names from Black Rock City. They don't know all the famous art pieces. They don't know who the movers and shakers are in the Black Rock City scene. They don't know the big theme camps. They don't know the history. They don't know what the controversies are, what the politics are. They're not in it. They're just not in any of it because it doesn't impact them because they've never been to Black Rock City and they, maybe will, maybe won't ever go. So they're familiar with the movers and shakers in our scene out here in the region. They're familiar with the big artists in the region. They're familiar with the controversies and the politics of the region.
Mm.
Um, so, and it's interesting because then you meet somebody, right? And you say, hey, you're a burner? I'm a burner. Oh yeah, I've been going out to Black Rock City for the last 10 years, 20 years, whatever. Oh, really? That's exciting. I've never been. Oh, well, and then you start trying to talk about stories, and all of their stories are stories that somebody else who's been going to Black Rock City would be able to relate to.
Hmm.
But my local regional burner that's never been out there has no idea who they're talking about, what they're talking about, doesn't have a concept of it, just isn't invested in the Black Rock City community.
Yeah, yeah.
But does that make them less of a burner?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's like I think the question for our age and our time now. That I mean, so much of the focus of like the regional network, especially lately, last 10 years maybe or so, yeah, it's been kind of pushing outwards. People keep saying now it's like, oh, there's more regional events or people attending, out there than on the Black Rock Desert. It's like, what is the
Yeah,
future of Burning Man? Like for me, I
right.
think it's kind of a what I'm hoping is it's always kind of just like a hybrid. It's like you'll have both, why should it be either or?
Yeah,
It's like I think we're
yeah,
better with everything. you
right,
know.
right. Yeah,
But yeah, there's this kind of like when we started off where it's just like, if you've been at doing regional events for 12 years and then you went to Black Rock City for 3 years, that makes you a 15-year burner. It's like I'm sure the people at Black Rock City is like, no, this is your third year. It's like, no,
right.
like, and then there's another level to this. It's like, a Black Rock VR, a VR, the virtual reality.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I mean that's another thing. People would just like, oh, some people it's like they've only done the virtual reality. They haven't even been to a regional event. And there's some people clearly are
Right.
just like, no, no, you're not a burner. And but I know Athena, she was one of my episodes, and she like vehemently would just be like, no, it's just like you are a burner. It's like it is a community. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's a community, right?
Right, right.
It's like,
Right. When it comes down to it, it is a community. However, there are multiple smaller communities within that big, larger umbrella,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so a lot of those small communities have no, I mean, other than the concepts of being a burner and the guiding principles, they don't really have the other connections that
yeah. I
to
think
the other communities that are out there.
I think that's an important part of it is that the cross pollination, right?
Mhm.
I mean, because could you have just like all of these separate, different groups that are just isolated from each other? Like if there's like a series of just like islands,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's like I guess you could say like overall, like these are the burning islands, but like
Right.
this one's like the North Island, this one's the East Island, like they each slightly different, but like I think you need to kind of cross pollinate to kind of like share the community.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I've seen a lot of things with regionals talking about having kind of guest access, right? So like a lot of regionals, because
Mm.
they have a limited size, their tickets sell out.
Hmm.
And so there's some moves to kind of bring leadership from one regional to the other regional
Hmm.
to just sort of see what's going on. Like, how do you guys do it? And
Oh
that's something that
yeah.
I've always been interested in is like, I would love to go to some smaller regionals that are, in the middle of the country. What's happening in Nebraska? I don't know. Is there even a regional out there? Can I go to it? Can I see how they run their stuff, you know? Um, so yeah, I think it's worth it if you can, um, to, kind of visit other events and see what's happening there and kind of take the best practices
I mean,
and
not just for the organizers, but even like participants. I mean, do you have many people from Portal or Cosmic like go? It's like, oh yeah, it's like I've been to Loveburn or I've been to Lakes of Fire or
yes.
Fireflies or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the people that are, a lot of our burners definitely do the whole circuit, right? So they go to Playa del Fuego, they go to Constellation, they go to Firefly, they go to Nectar, they go to Summer Isle, they go to Lakes of Fire, they go down to Loveburn. So there is, I'm sure I'm forgetting a regional that they're going to be like, why didn't you say our name?
Yeah, well,
But
mm,
yeah, so yeah, there, a lot of our burners are bopping around to all these different burns all
yeah.
across this coast area, the
I just,
Northeast.
I don't know.
So
I just thought of
yeah.
another idea. Like maybe what we need is something like the Girl Scouts. Like the sash.
Oh
Right.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
then like each event, it's like you get like the patch. And then you kind
Yeah.
of you get to people just like, really? It's just like your goal is to go around and to sample like like the charcuterie and cheese board, whatever. You're
Yes.
like how many
Yeah.
patches can you get? And people are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna go to nowhere in
Exactly.
Spain.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be pretty
Yeah.
cool. I think you should organize that. I want
Oh
you to let me
gosh,
know how I can support you. How
another thing to do.
can I support you in doing that, Auntie?
I'm in the business of giving people ideas. Yeah, yeah. Well, all right. Well, we're gone about an hour and 22, so I don't know. We can talk a little bit after this, but thank you. This has been an amazing interview, and I hope that you can help me find some other people from like local regional brands who I don't really have that much like Black Rock experience I can interview too.
Oh yeah, I would be happy. I know a ton of people that would love to talk to you.
Sure.
Um, I have to say I was a little bit intimidated because of the, looking through your past episodes and kind of thinking, well, wow, I don't really stack up to these people that, have all been going to Black Rock City and organizing these giant theme camps and doing all this incredible work. And, I feel like in comparison to your other guests, I feel like a tiny, tiny fish in a giant
Well,
pond.
your
But
episode's going to come out it's like the third week of January. So, first week of January is Harley Dubois, one of the founders.
yeah,
Second
yeah,
week, my friend Tex Burner. Uh, uh, then you, and then Joshua Martelli. Yeah, I mean, it's just a smorgasbord. I want a sampler platter of just all different people, different experiences. I mean, because that's what we say, like Burning Man, like there's no one definition. Like everyone has a
yeah.
different story. But thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm going to the Burn After meeting in late November, which is a bunch of regional organizers from across the
Yeah,
country who get together and talk regionals.
yeah,
So there's a good representation there, and I'd be happy to, pass your name around and if
sure.
anybody's like, yeah, I want to be on
Yeah,
a podcast.
yeah. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute after. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
sounds
thank you
good.
so much for the interview.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this show, please subscribe, rate, and review it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. The more reviews the show has, the more likely it will even appear in search results. Also, please tell a friend and share this show with anyone that you think might like it. Word of mouth reaches quite far, especially in the Burning Man community. If you would like to contact us, please send an email to shadowofthemanpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow Shadow of the Man on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, X, and YouTube. The links for all of these are available at shadowoftheman.com. Feel free to use any of these social media accounts to provide any feedback you might have. Your thoughts on the show are greatly appreciated. Thank you, and see you soon for a new episode of The Shadow of the Man.
Thank you for listening to this latest show. We have to make another one, so gotta go. Don't worry, for next month we already have one in the can. Very soon you'll be listening to a new Shadow of the Man.